What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheepy Shear podcast. We're here we talk about people, politics, and of course, popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you into the show. Grab your coffee, settle back. You're in for a good conversation this morning. So, my friends, I was thinking last night. If you're anything like me, you have these thoughts just out of nowhere, and then before you know it, you're down a rabbit hole. And you're really thinking about one thing and then another. And something that really came to my attention is this realization. I like to watch older movies. And by old, I mean like the 80s and 70s. I know for me that's old because I'm a young guy. So for those of you who are older, that's just the way it is. I don't mean to insult you. I look at especially my favorite movie franchise, which is the Back to the Future series, or trilogy, I guess. And while I was watching it, and while I was watching a couple of older movies like The Breakfast Club and all stuff like that, it dawned on me just how different society was. And if that wasn't obvious enough, I had a thought. The thought was this: sex is destroying society. Now, how do I go from talking about old movies to suddenly talking about sex? Well, I'm so glad you asked. It's really not that difficult, because when you look at society can't survive without marriage. It can't survive without a birth rate. It can't survive without people constantly innovating it, making it better, making it easier to survive, and making people's lives better so they can make more money. That's what business is. And I was contrasting in my head the difference between my generation and my dad's generation, because he's from that generation. And so I was thinking in my head, what is it that's so different about the society I'm living in now, at my age, young 20s guy, versus when he was younger guy? What was the difference? Well, it really wasn't that complicated when I realized something. Most guys that were my dad's generation, they got married around my age. Just got out of college. They got married. Now, I know people who have gotten out of college and gotten married. So, it's not like that concept doesn't exist at all in the world we live in today. But I also realized something else. People want to pretend like they get married for love. They get married because they can't live without the other person. It's just their second half and they need them. Well, they might feel that way. There's more to it than that. When we look, I remember when I was younger, again, like I said, I go down rabbit holes on the most random things. You're going to have to indulge me if you can follow the bouncing ball. If you can't, well, then that's more your problem and not mine. It just means that you have a very lower IQ, and I don't know how to help you. My friends, I was thinking about this. When it comes down to it, the humongous difference between my generation and my father's generation is that sex is consuming the society. Now, I know, back in the day, in the 80s, they had Penthouse, they had Playboy, they had these magazines. But from the stories I've heard from my dad, they used to have this curtain. This black curtain. I mean, I never saw it because I'm not old enough to see it. But I remember hearing about it. There was just a black curtain that separated the dirty movies and the dirty magazines and everything, what have you, from the rest, the everyday, the PG movies, the PG-13 movies, whatever. And when you actually wanted to consume pornography, or you wanted to do something like that, you had to actually go out in public. I know, crazy. You had to actually go out in public. You risked people seeing you. The little kids that you help coach their little league. You risked the cashier giving you that weird sideways glance of I know what you're doing tonight. Maybe the girl that you gonna take out to ice cream and tomorrow, she gonna see you in there being all shady and doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. That's what they used to have to do that stuff. Now, all you got to do is open your phone and look it up, and bingo, you got more than you know what to do with. And there's another thought that came to my head. You know what? If you're a younger guy like me, you've probably seen more naked women in the last 30 days on your phone than your grandfather or your great-grandfather ever saw in their life. They used to have to marry a woman. They used to have to go to war, Vietnam or Korea or what have you, to see naked women. They didn't just open their phone and be like, look up X porn star, or oh, look up this, that, the other thing. They couldn't just do that. They couldn't do that. We think that the way it's been for us is the way it's always been. That's 100% false. And it also led me to this conclusion of sex is destroying society. Because the more access people have to it, the less likely they are to actually work. Because look, gentlemen, we gotta be honest, okay? I don't want people out here BSing me. How much does sex really consume in your mind? And if you say none, you lying. If you say none, you're a liar, or you are a eunuch or something. My friends, the more that sex has consumed our society, the more technological innovations, the more ambition consumes us, is that culture just doesn't exist as much. Or at least it's not being practiced by as many people as it used to. You used to have to work. They used to be a byproduct of success. Now it's not. Now you got dudes out here on the internet talking about how, oh, I get it for free, Austin. Yeah, I go out here and I get it for free. I lay my game down and I get all the hoes and I do this and I got my mouthpiece and I run this game and I do this and I do that and I'm a pimp and I'm a Mac and I'm a this and I'm a that. They don't talk about going out there and chasing their dreams. They don't go out there talking about how they have the ambition of a writer. They don't have these kind of stories anymore. You don't have to work for it because the women are giving it up very easily. I'm not saying that you're wrong for not putting in a lot of work for it. If the women are going to give it away for pretty much nothing, then I don't blame y'all for taking it. Ladies, look, I know I'm not a woman. I mean, that's obvious. I have a mustache on my face. But here's something that I want to put by y'all. Because I see so many videos on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube sometimes. I cannot understand for the life of me why y'all ladies come out here and try to double dip the system. I see girls out here talking about how, if a dude is laying down his pipe, then he owes me gas money, or he should pay my bills, or do this and do that. Meanwhile you came over to his house to enjoy the sex, and yet he has to double pay. He's paying with his time and with his money. Why? I don't understand why we double dipping the system out here. What is it with people wanting to negotiate what they want on the back end instead of saying, hey, I want this, you want that, let's talk business? No, I get it. There's nothing romantic about that, and everybody wants romance. Everybody wants to feel like there's some kind of love involved. There's some kind of like emotional transaction on top of the physical one. I get it. But it doesn't actually work that way. There was a time in America and in the world, and in some places it still is this way, of dudes used to... Look, if you look into most of the animal kingdom, dudes compete for... The males compete for the females. You look at the peacocks, you look at the lions, you look at the... I could go down the list. And so when girls come out, when the quote, the feminists, quote unquote, come out here and say that the men should be competing for the women, yeah, most of the time that's how it works. Yes, they're not wrong about that. But here's the problem. All of those, if you look at the examples in the animal kingdom, it doesn't directly apply to the human kingdom as much anymore, because women have their legs open. And so then you have this conversation of, well, if so-and-so didn't have to buy dinner, if so-and-so didn't have to pay for your gas money, if so-and-so didn't have to do this, why the hell do I have to do it? Why should I pay top dollar for something someone else paid low ball or mid-tier for? Versus when you know what you want and you have a high price out the gate, men have to raise the bar. See, I've heard girls in my own life, whether it be my sister, whether it be anybody else, talk about how the bar is on the floor. And I understand why they say that. But they're not also taking into account the cause and effect. That's an effect of the cause. Of course the bar is on the ground. Why? Because dudes don't gotta do jack to get it. They take you out, Chad and Tyrone, quote unquote, be taking people out here to get ice cream cones from McDonald's and then get laid. Meanwhile, she wants some other dude to take her to Cheesecake Factory and he doesn't even get it at all. It doesn't work that way. You see, dudes are waking up to this fact and they're saying, why are we doing this? And this is why sex is destroying society, because sex was always at top dollar. Men had to get married. Men had to pay top dollar to even have access. And now, with modern day feminism, with the sexual liberation and all this stuff, they don't have to do that anymore. But yet, ladies still want us to do that. Meanwhile, there's no incentive for us to do that, and that's why people often result in trying to guilt, trying to do this, trying to do that. Like, that's the problem. Now, it's a multifaceted problem, and both sides have to take their blame. I'm not blaming one side over the other. But I gotta tell you, sometimes one side gotta go first with trying to make society better again. And ladies, I hate to put this on y'all doorstep, but y'all are the gatekeepers to intimacy. You think I'm wrong? When a man tries to cheat that system, that's a crime. That's called grape. It rhymes with grape. It's a very heinous crime when a man tries to cheat that system. That's why I say that the women are the gatekeepers to intimacy. And there was a time when they required marriage for them to give it up. We need to go back to those times. And it needs to be enough of y'all. It needs to be a majority. Otherwise, this problem is not going to get fixed. Because otherwise, then the men who will wife you up are going to be the men you don't want. And we already see that in society today. People want love to come back into the culture. Well, that's the first step. They want chivalry back. Well, then you need to stop being the woman in the streets and start being the woman in the castle again. That's the way it is. Do you think peasants in the village have a knight? No. Do you think the streetwalkers in the village had knights in shining armor protecting them? No. Women are out. I see girls talking about how they're princesses, and yet they don't actually demonstrate princess behavior. This majestic, high level. It's the women who talk most like gutter trash that talk about being princesses the most. Meanwhile, they don't have the lingo, they don't have the look, they don't have anything else but their claim. Now, I get it. I'm going down a rabbit hole. But this is how my mind works. I have this stream of consciousness. I just keep going. I don't have a script. All right? I just talk. I have it kind of sorted out in my brain, and I just talk. I don't need a script. I'm not on CNN. I'm not on Fox News. I don't need a script to read. I just have my brain. But I'm curious, what do y'all think about this idea of sex just destroying society, and how when women close their legs, when women have higher standards, men are forced to meet those standards? Yes. And look, ladies, if y'all do raise your standards and your actions go with it, men, we gotta step up. That's how it works. I don't want y'all kicking and screaming and whining and complaining. No. None of that. Because that's just your own weakness talking. Both sides need to be held accountable. But the more we point fingers at each other, the less things actually get done. But I'm curious, what do y'all think about this, my friends? What do you have to say? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I on the right track? Am I contradicting myself? This is why I did a show a couple days ago about dating being dead. Because this is what's killing it. The poison, the toxicity, this is what is killing it. Is this behavior that I've described in this show today. It's the deception. It's like someone trying to set a firm foundation with flimsy material and wondering why it doesn't work and complaining about it. Well, duh. You try to build your house in the sand and you wondered why it shifted away and fell apart instead of you building it on the rock. You didn't build it on bedrock, you built it on shifting sand and you wondered why your whole house fell apart. You shouldn't be surprised by that. To build firm relationships, you need firm ideals, you need firm ideology. Otherwise, you're gonna, when the rain comes, and it will, you're gonna be washed away, and you're gonna tuck tail and run. That goes across the board, by the way. It doesn't have to be just one man or the woman who leaves. My friends, what do you have to say on this? If you have any comments or concerns or anything you want to add to the conversation, I'll be posing my question on the show today of, do you think that sex is destroying society? The overconsumption of sex, the overavailability of said sex. Do you think it's destroying society? I'll post it on my Twitter, so if you want to go over to @OzzyCreed, you can find it. Or if you want to leave a comment on the comment section of the video, if you're watching on YouTube or on Rumble, you're more than welcome to do that. But I'm curious, what do y'all have to say about it? Because to me, it's very clear cut, very straight up, very easy to see. But then again, I understand. We've been talking about it for almost the last 20 minutes, so I understand. But I want to see what y'all have to say on the matter. Until next time, God bless you, God bless your family, God bless America. We're out of here. Peace.